You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end,
what will I become?
Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Everyone knows therapy is great for solving problems, but getting therapy has its own problems too, like finding the right therapist, fitting into their schedule, and of course, the cost. Well, BetterHelp can solve those problems. It's totally online and built around your schedule. It's surprisingly affordable too. Connect with a credentialed therapist by phone, video, or online chat, all from the comfort of your home. Visit BetterHelp.com to learn more and save 10% on your first month. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P.
Recorded in Chicago, Illinois, with your hosts, Ken, Matt, Neal, and Jeff. This is Triviality.
Hello and welcome to Triviality, the game where a lack of seriousness meets a little bit of knowledge. My name is Neal, and I won't be your host today. We will introduce them in just a moment, but I'm here in the studio with Ken and Jeff. How are you both?
Good day.
Good day.
Good morrow.
Since we're following the footy, good day.
Good day. Yeah, that's true.
Good day.
I reckon you are correct, as they would say in
Do
Aussie.
they?
Yeah, they say reckon quite a bit.
Okay.
So good on you. That's another one for you.
I know that one.
Yeah. So shout out to the Australian listeners. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I had my Macca's for breakfast. Everything's going well over here.
And for listeners who don't know what that is McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some toast with some Vegemite.
I wish. No, I did not like the Vegemite. I think that video is still somewhere.
Yeah, it's on our Patreon if you want to see Matt eat a disgusting piece of toast with Vegemite.
Did not like Vegemite.
If you eat the correct amount, it's good. But if you go overboard, it's bad.
Yeah, I guess like anything though, right? I mean, a little too much Nutella, then probably not a good night.
See, if you went overboard on Nutella, I think you'd be in better condition.
I think your margin for error on Nutella is lower.
Right.
Okay.
Way to really break that down, Jeff. I appreciate that.
The only thing not breaking it down is Jeff's digestive system, though.
And
mine, frankly. But let's not talk too much.
That's what the people come for. Yeah, great.
They come
All
for
the digestive triviality news.
Yeah, for the medical discussions, but not the trivia. But
yesterday had quite a bit of indigestion, guys.
Did you?
I'm not talking about this.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll talk about it later.
It's just a joke.
That'll be on the Patreon bonus. We'll talk all about our medical issues. It'll be a 6-hour retrospective. But we have some special guests here today who are joining us. As I said, we'll get to our host in just a moment, but our special guest contestant today is coming to us from Arlington, Virginia. She's an Oakland 5 supporter on Patreon, which we appreciate, and that is Cameron Tarry. How are you, Cameron?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm here in the DC area as a law student. I'm in my first year, my 1L year, so I don't have a ton of life going on outside of that right now, as anyone who has a JD can probably remember. But actually, a couple of weeks ago, my law school class had a talent show, like the 1L talent show. And I will say, Neal, I'm coming for your impressions crown because I killed with my impression set. So that was something fun that's happened this semester.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, what impressions were you doing?
I did a couple. I did like Saoirse Ronan, Holly Hunter, a couple of obscure like radio hosts. I think the big hit was my Queen Elizabeth II, like from the Claire Foys and The Crown.
Yeah,
I think it sounded a little something like this.
Which sounded a little something like this. I've had a chance to think about your request to participate in your trivia competition, and weighing it all up, the amount of time I've been a patron and my affection for you all personally, all spoke in its favor.
Yeah,
was excellent.
That's very good.
That was very good.
We'll get you to do a rules reading
as the Queen
after this. Yeah.
Hopefully at the end of the episode, we'll have to hear a little bit of Holly Hunter because that is a hard impression to do, but I always enjoy it because it's so unique. So, thank you for joining us and for that impression. And you're going to be teaming with Matt today. So, Matt, any ideas on a team name from both of you, possibly?
We weren't sure. What were you guys thinking first?
Jeff, I don't know. You said you came in hot today and you had a great name for a team.
Yeah. So We are. I've been singing WAP a lot lately. No, not the one you think.
Have you?
This is a family-friendly show. I'm referring to the Kids Bop version. This is waffles and pancakes. So we're gonna be waffles and pancakes.
All right. I don't even want to know what the lyrics are.
Extra
for that.
syrup.
Extra syrup. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes that syrup game weak.
Yeah.
How about you, Matt and Cameron?
Not really sure. We're doing a food-based pun also. We're gonna be Kale Me By Your Name, I believe was the name.
There you go.
All right, so a little Lil Nas X reference there. Well, we have our team set, but we need a host. And joining us again, we had a great time last time he was on the show, coming to us from Minneapolis, another Patreon supporter, which we appreciate. And that is Chris Hine. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing good, guys. Thanks for having me back. I guess it wasn't a total disaster last time I was on here.
No, it wasn't. Well, we're actually contractually obligated to have you back on, but we're still excited about it.
I have no impressions though, so I got nothing for you guys on that front. So sorry.
We hear you do a really good Chris Hine.
Yeah, I got to get a little more nasally to get that down. But the Minneapolis cold will help with that.
Why don't you remind listeners what you're up to and what you've been doing since the last time you've been on the show?
Yeah, so I live here in Minneapolis now for about 3 years. I cover the Minnesota Timberwolves for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, and we just had some big news on that front yesterday as Alex Rodriguez has agreed to go on a pathway to becoming the owner of the Timberwolves. So A-Rod coming to a courtside NBA arena near you.
I could just picture A-Rod living it up in Minnesota. That seems like his kind of town.
seems like a natural fit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, is he going to be the owner by himself, or is he going to need a little extra help like he had in the MLB? You know what I mean?
I don't know if that kind of help is coming, but he's got a business associate guy by the name of Mark Laurie. That's kind of, I guess, I don't know how much of the money is behind this, but they're the two names that are for the deal.
Small injections of funds that he needed is what I will get through that.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, Ken is blissfully aware, but he's just a big Alex Rodriguez fan.
Big
Huge. I love baseball. Is that the sport that he plays? Yeah, baseball.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, thank you, Chris, for joining us and for writing a game. And I guess we can't start the game without hearing the rules. So, Cameron, you're our guest today. What rules read would you like to hear?
Oh, I just love the classic. I'd love to start it off with that.
All right, Darren, take it away.
The rules of the game are simple. 20 questions split into 2 rounds worth 10 points apiece. At halftime, there'll be a special swing round designed by this week's host. After regulation, players will enter the final round with the points that they've accumulated and will have a chance to wager 0 to 30 points on 5 categorized questions. At the end of the game, someone will be named the cream of the crop.
I am the cream.
Everybody says classic. You gotta love Darren.
Yeah, he's the man of the people. So, Chris, feel free to take it away. We're ready to play. And I didn't mean to rhyme that, but I'll put on a hat.
All right, so a couple notes about
Neal, you suck.
Couple notes coming into it here. Neal asked me to host with about a week's notice, so I leaned into some of my strengths trivia-wise, which kind of revolve around pop culture, entertainment, things like that. So you see a lot of that here. And categories might offer a hint. They might not. Sometimes I just got lazy and couldn't come up with anything. So here we go. Number 1 is Stormtroopers. Over the last 20 years, 4 different actors have won a total of 1 Oscar and 3 Primetime Emmys for playing this historical figure. In terms of the Emmys, 2 actors, Albert Finney and Brendan Gleeson, each took home lead actor in a miniseries for projects titled The Gathering Storm and Into the Storm. More recently, a veteran actor took home the 2017 Emmy for Best Supporting Actor in a Drama for playing this man. It gave him 3 Emmys in the drama categories to go with 3 lead actor and a comedy Emmys he won in the 1990s. Name the historical figure for 10 points and the most recent Emmy winner for an extra 2.
These guys are locked in the studio, so what do you guys think?
Okay, so I initially thought Lincoln, but we ruled that out because we can't think of any miniseries. What were you thinking, Cameron?
No.
I don't know. Thinking about The Crown still, I was thinking either like Elizabeth's father, Birdie or Winston Churchill, because I think those have both been played fairly often, but I don't know if Brendan Gleeson has ever played.
Well, I think that's a good guess. So, let's just lock that in. So we're going to go with Churchill.
Jeff and I had a very similar conversation. We were doing really bad Churchill impressions, talking about, they'll fight us on the seas and on the water.
Wow, that's really bad.
Yeah, it's really bad. Anyway, we also went Churchill, and I believe for the bonus, we put John Lithgow. So those are our two answers.
And we're getting points for everybody here. The correct answer is Winston Churchill, and John Lithgow is the bonus answer. He played Winston Churchill in season 1 of The Crown. Cameron, with the Claire Foy impression, I thought, wow, this is going to be a. We
could have replicated the whole show. Just back and forth.
if only I had a Churchill impression.
We're not using Neal's. It's no good.
Neal will not be winning the Oscar.
I will not. Actually, I wasn't even doing it from memory. I bet if I heard it, I could do it. But yeah, off the top of my head, it just sounds like I'm a schoolyard bully or something.
All right. Great excuses. Let's move on to question 2.
All right. Question 2. You have a shot. In the board game Pandemic, how many of the 4 diseases do you have to eradicate before you win the game?
Too soon.
I know.
I've never played this game before. Matt, have you?
No.
We're going to lock in over here, guys. You can feel free to talk.
I know when me and Jeff played Pandemic, it ended up like it is now.
You're
meaning
the reason...
we always lost.
Oh, I was going to say, did you cause the pandemic from playing Pandemic?
No, I wouldn't say unless we got our grubby fingers all over the pieces.
Well, Matt, if there's 4 diseases apparently in the game, maybe you have to eradicate, I'd say 3 or 4 of them.
I think that 4 would make the game exceedingly long and tedious. I think 2 would be too easy. So 3 seems like a good number.
All right, we'll lock in with 3 then.
3 for no reason.
So what did we lock in with, Joe?
We believe it's all 4.
This was kind of a trick question. You have to cure all 4 diseases to win the game, but you don't have to eradicate any of them. The correct answer is 0.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you could have like all these disease cubes on the board still, and like the world is on the verge of like these huge outbreaks, but you could still have won the game because you've cured the diseases. So it's very strange.
Apropos.
I was going to say we've only really eradicated like 1 or 2 viruses as humans, and so far we're okay-ish.
All right, off to question number 3 here. They're People Too is the category title. Season 7 of The Office opens with a lip dub of the 1968 top 10 cover of the Isley Brothers' is Nobody But Me by this group, whose name makes it sound as if it belongs on another NBC sitcom that was airing at the same time.
We had a long discussion here. I don't really know The Office. Jeff does, and he recognized the reference, but we are kind of taking a guess, so we're going to lock in with a guess over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we also know The Office, I believe, but that does not actually help in this question. So what shows do you think were on around the same time?
We know at the same time NBC was also airing on its like Comedy Thursdays Community and Parks and Rec and 30 Rock. And so going off the 30 Rock line, we just made up a band called the Rockabillys because it sounded like something that would exist in 1968.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a genre, but we couldn't pull it. So I don't know. I just kind of threw in the towel.
So the correct answer is The Human Beings.
Oh, the Greendale Human Beings.
The Greendale Human Beings. Yes,
that's awesome.
That is the correct thing. They were kind of a one-hit wonder band in the 60s. They didn't really have any other hits, but they had that Nobody But Me song that The Office just kind of went with in the opening episode of season 7. That was their only hit. All right, so they were a one-hit wonder band. So question 4 has to do with a band that's actually technically a 2-hit wonder band. Referenced later in this episode of The Office was this band who, contrary to public perception, escaped the infamous label of being a one-hit wonder. In 1997, they followed up their massive nonsensical hit with the ballad I Will Come to You. The song, co-written by 2 of my personal favorite songwriters, Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil, peaked at number 9 on the Hot 100, thereby giving this group a second top 10 hit.
So our discussion has kind of been all over the place. We talked about New Radicals maybe because we didn't know if they had just 2 hits, or Duncan Sheik. We're having a little bit of trouble figuring out the clue of nonsensical hit. And I really have nothing here, Jeff. I'm not really sure what you want to lock in with.
Do we just want to say Tub Thumping? We know it's about the right time.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba as our official answer.
Looks like you guys got knocked down.
Yeah, I'm thinking 1997. We just kind of thought Chumbawamba initially, but then I was just thinking about that Bare Naked Ladies song. 1 Week has a lot of nonsensical parts in the middle of it. And I don't know if they have a second hit, but that sounds like it might be it. So we locked in with Bare Naked Ladies.
Over their 30-year
That's
prolific career.
So in that episode, the episode revolves around nepotism, and Michael Scott has a quote along the lines of, "Do you think they should have had open auditions for the band Hanson? What if no one named Hanson showed up?" The correct answer is Hanson. Bop. Question 5, the category is speaking of grass. Creed in The Office, Creed Bratton is the actor's name. He was in a group in the 60s called the Grassroots. And that segues into this question, which says, in 2020, Gallup released data from a poll that posed the following question. Keeping in mind your answers are confidential, do you yourself smoke marijuana? What percentage of Americans said yes? I'll give you a range of 4% either way.
Now, quick question for clarification. What if you smoke 2 joints in the morning and smoke 2 joints at night?
And
does that count for double or?
Yeah, that's smoking for 2.
Okay.
Well, on that note, we already had a blunt over here, so we're locked in.
Oh, great.
Great.
So we're not doing that on this side. I started at, I think 20% was a good starting point, playing higher or lower, and you think it's a little bit higher.
Yeah, I'd go closer to 30.
Okay. What about 28%?
Sounds good.
For no reason, again, we're locking in with 28.
It's not no reason. It's logic and reason.
Oh, you're right. For all the logic and reason, we are going with 28%.
All right. We had a discussion over here. I thought maybe it was 40%, which might seem kind of high. Jeff said maybe not. Let's not go that high. So we ended up going with 20% to give us, the teens and the early 20s.
And just for the record, my independent guess for no points is 40%.
Okay.
So I think this is an exercise in just how truthful Americans are when they fill out polls. The correct answer, according to the Gallup poll, was 12%.
Whoa.
Wow.
3% and 8% would have given you the correct answer. So I was shocked when I found that myself. I think people might be lying when they're.
Yeah.
They probably don't trust that the person who's polling them is going to come and find them,
Are you a cop? You have to tell me if you're a
The
cop.
pollster had a cop mustache.
Yeah, that's the rules. Yeah, tell me you're a cop, pollster.
All right. After 5 questions, it looks like both teams got 1 question right and bonus points for waffles and pancakes. So it's 10-12.
All right. Moving on to question number 6. The category is moo. In 2019, what was the best-selling type of white milk, according to data from the USDA?
We are locked in over here.
So as the resident milk expert, as it goes in all of our...
The milkman.
Yeah, as the milkman, as they call me. I'm just thinking about storage space at the grocery store. And it seemed to me like 2% takes up the most space there. So logically, that would be right. Are you okay with us going with 2%, Cameron?
Yeah, lock it in.
All right. We are saying 2%.
We had a very similar discussion. We both had 2% growing up in our households, and we thought it's either between that or skim milk, depending on how healthy people wanted to be. And we said we don't think people are trying to be healthy, so we also locked in with 2%.
Edging out 2% for the first time in a few years was whole milk.
Wow.
Is on an upward swing recently in America. Go figure, right? With all the health kicks going on. But whole milk was the best-selling type of white milk.
That makes sense to me, though, because I think all the people that are health conscious are switching to almond or soy or some of the alternatives.
That is true.
So,
yeah. That's a good point.
All right, off to question number 7 on that note. The category is incoming. At the Emmys last year, Dan Levy won for writing, directing, and acting in Schitt's Creek. In doing so, he duplicated a feat only accomplished by this famous actor who pulled it off in the 1970s over multiple years.
Okay, we are locked in over here.
Okay. So 70s TV, boy, not a strong suit for me or you either, right?
No, not at all.
This was
Big
before your
slot.
TGIF era, Matt?
Yeah. My TV knowledge starts and ends with Full House, to be honest. So I think we're thinking Andy Kaufman, just thinking he was possibly winning some Emmys for being on Taxi. I don't know if he did any writing or directing. I think he did around that time, doing different one-man shows and that kind of thing. So we're just going to lock in with Andy Kaufman.
We had a discussion about actors, directors, sort of all-around talents in the 70s. First, we said maybe Dick Van Dyke, but we knew he was more, I guess, in the 60s. But off that train, we went to Carl Reiner, who had written on Dick Van Dyke and was also an actor. We thought, well, maybe not. And we thought maybe Ed Asner, but we actually settled on Rob Reiner because he was on All in the Family. He is a very successful director and writer, and we thought maybe he could have pulled off this feat. So that's our official answer.
The category was a bit of a clue here. Incoming is something that was often said in the show MASH when wounded were coming into the camp, and Alan Alda is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Now, Alan, what do you think about that?
Well, guys, I love that you included me here on the podcast.
It's Christopher Walken.
No, I need to get into Alan Alda. I have to do the SNL impression, and then I can get into it. Bill Hader, who has the best.
You have to do Bill Hader's impression of Alan Alda,
which is perfect. So it might as well be Alan Alda.
The same thing.
Same thing, exactly.
All right, off to question number 8 here. More Emmys in the best game show host category at the 1990 and 91 daytime Emmys. There were 3 nominees: Bob Barker for The Price is Right, Alex Trebek for Jeopardy, and Alex Trebek again for a second show that he hosted at the time. What was that memory-based show?
All right, we are locked in over here.
All right, you guys are locked in. I remember seeing this on the Game Show Network, which my mom loved in the mid to late 90s. So do you remember the game Concentration, Cameron?
I do not, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just a basic matching game, I think, was the premise of it. I'm pretty sure Alex Trebek hosted it, so we're going to lock in with Concentration.
Oh, man, I hope that's right. I was describing to Neal Alex Trebek hosting, and then they'd have like pictures that would be exposed, and then the first person to guess it would get the answer, and then they'd have matching speed rounds, and you could win a car. And I couldn't remember the name of it. Concentration is what we guessed, so I hope you're right.
And you can smile now. It is Concentration.
Yay.
Technically classic Concentration, but we will accept Concentration. That's it. That's a correct answer.
Not to be confused with the childhood game Perfection, which is probably responsible for much of my anxiety as an adult.
I saw somebody built a 10 by 10 foot life-size Perfection game. You should see it on YouTube. It's pretty great.
And when it pops, it just like sends them flying.
No, it's on a wall, so it like shoots out at you.
Which one's Perfection again?
That's the one when you put the little shapes into the board.
Oh,
before it explodes.
Oh, that was
in
a
your
fun
face,
one.
and a sharp plastic object goes into your eyeball.
What was do you remember the one where it was like a bunch of ice and you had to like
don't break the ice?
Don't break the ice. Yeah, you had to chisel.
That was fun.
That was a fun one.
You kill the little man.
Yeah,
who's sitting there on the ice for some reason.
Yeah, actually, I had a surgery when I was a little kid where I put some metallic things inside my body. So if I ever had an operation, it would just test the doctors that much more.
Question 9 is a nod to Alex's native land. So Alex Trebek is from Canada. What is Canada's 4th largest metropolitan area by population?
All right. So let's go through the cities. So Toronto, probably biggest, right? Yep. Somewhere around there. You said Vancouver and Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
What are we thinking for the 4th one?
Yeah, so we know that there's a lot of medium-sized cities like Edmonton and Calgary, but we think that Ottawa should probably be 4th. Like it's smaller than most people think it is, but it's still bigger than the others. And Matt was mentioning that they have a professional sports team, and that usually indicates some sort of size. So we're going to lock in with Ottawa.
I couldn't remember if Ottawa was that big. We said Calgary.
Somebody's getting points here. The correct answer is, drum roll, Calgary.
Wow.
Calgary also has pro sports team. They've got the hockey team there in Calgary.
Flames.
The Flames.
Question 10. We close the first round with sports. Urban Meyer recently took over as coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If Meyer wins a Super Bowl, he would join an exclusive list of 3 other coaches who have won both the Super Bowl and a college national championship, determined by either the BCS or Associated Press. Name one of the other 3, 2 bonus points for getting the others.
Okay, so the other team locked in. Jeff, I can't really pull many college coaches. We know Nick Saban, he failed in the NFL with the Dolphins, but he wins a lot in college. Maybe I was thinking like an older coach like Don Shula, who had a lot of success in the NFL. I don't know if he coached college either.
Right.
We kind of talked a little bit about like coaches that were famous for college. So Pete Carroll, I know, was at USC. I know he won a lot there. I don't know if he won a national championship.
He definitely won a Super Bowl though, so
we know that.
Yeah.
And then you had mentioned Bear Bryant, but I don't know if he coached in the NFL. So what do you think about that list? I'll let you pick. That's like 6 names. I don't know.
And remember to pick some bonus answers.
You liked Shula, right?
Maybe it's because he's older, he's successful. So Shula and Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll, yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll lock in with Don Shula and Pete Carroll.
Yeah, so this one was all me, Cameron said. She said, I'm not helpful there. So I went with an old name. I'm almost pretty sure that Barry Switzer won a Super Bowl with the Cowboys and was the coach of Oklahoma. So that's going to be our lock-in answer. I'm pretty sure Pete Carroll won with the Seahawks and also won with USC. And then Chip Kelly was the coach of that Philly team that won the Super Bowl, I believe. So we said Chip Kelly as the other one.
All right. So both teams are getting points on this one. Pete Carroll is one of the 3 coaches winning a Super Bowl with the Seahawks and then at USC. The other 2 answers are Jimmy Johnson. And I think Matt pulled the hardest one here by getting Barry Switzer, Super Bowl with the Cowboys and national titles with Oklahoma.
At the end of the first round, it is Call Me By Your Name with 32 points in second place. And with a slight lead, Waffles and Pancakes, WAP, with 42 points.
Moving on to the swing round. The category is Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves. These are songs that were made famous by prominent female singers that were written or co-written by other famous female singer-songwriters. I'll give you the title of the song and the year of the most popular version. Some answers may be used twice, so there are going to be some repeats showing up here. And I'll give you another hint, too. If you can kind of think about the year and the time frame of what artists might have been popular during that time, it might lead you to who some of the writers were. So here we go. You'll get 2 points for the singer, 3 points for the songwriter. Number 1 is Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves from 1985. Number 2 is I Will Always Love You from 1992. Number 3 is Diamonds from 2012. Number 4 is This Is What You Came For, 2016. Number 5, Where Are You Christmas, 2000. Number 6, Till the World Ends, 2011. Number 7, Miss Independent, 2003. Number 8, I Do Not Hook Up, 2009. Number 9, Breakaway, 2004. And number 10, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman, 1967.
All right, we will go over these questions and be back with our answers.
We took it all. We brought them to our land. An endless night, ember hot and icy cold. The rage of the earth. We made this curse. Carved it in the blood on our backs. We did not see. We could not, but she did. And in the end...
What will I become? Senua's Saga. Hellblade 2.
Play it now with Game Pass.
Say goodbye to your credit card rewards. Greedy corporate mega stores, led by Walmart and Target, are pushing for a law in Congress to take away your hard-earned cash back and travel points to line their pockets. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would enact harmful credit card routing mandates that would end credit card rewards as we know it. If you love your credit card rewards, tell your lawmakers, hands off my rewards. Tell them to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill.
All the answers are now locked in. Let's go back to Chris for the questions. We'll give our answers.
Today's swing round was Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves. These were songs made famous by prominent female singers, written or co-written by other famous female singer-songwriters. 2 points for the singer, 3 for the songwriter. Number 1 was Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves from 1985.
This one we had a little trouble with. It was something that was outside of our range, but we just took a big guess and said it was Wilson and or Phillips for both.
Wilson wrote it, Phillips sang it. I don't know. We didn't know this one either. We thought maybe this is a Donna Summer joint. It's, a little fun upbeat. And we thought Cyndi Lauper just having fun and writing the song.
Call Me By Your Name circled this one with their discussion. The correct answers are singer Aretha Franklin, Annie Lennox. It's very popular in the mid 80s.
You did say Aretha at one point.
You did, yep. Number 2 is I Will Always Love You from 1992.
This one we knew right away, famously written by Dolly Parton, who also performed a great version of it, and made more famous by Whitney Houston.
Yeah, we also knew this one pretty much immediately. We had Whitney Houston singing and Dolly Parton writing.
And 5 points for both teams. Singer Whitney Houston, writer Dolly Parton. Number 3 is Diamonds from 2012.
This one we had a little bit of a discussion on. We thought maybe it was the Shine Bright Like a Diamond song, but even though it's not plural, but we said it was sung by Rihanna and maybe written by Sia before she became huge.
I hope you guys are right, because we literally said the same thing, Rihanna and Sia.
And both teams are right. 5 points for both. That's the singer. Writer is Sia. Very good on that one. Number 4 is This Is What You Came For from 2016.
Yeah, this one we had no idea. I think Ken said it was the only one he knew right away. So we didn't know. We kind of just locked in with Engelbert Humperdinck.
That is not a good lock-in. I think you're wrong.
We just followed the logic of the last question. Matt was pretty sure that this was sung by Rihanna, and then knowing that Sia wrote a lot of songs, we put Sia here again as the writer.
Like I said, there were going to be some repeats here. Rihanna is the singer of this song. The writer is actually Taylor Swift.
Wow.
She wrote it with Calvin Harris when they were together, and after they broke up, it became a big hit for Rihanna.
Okay, so that's 2 points for Call Me By Your Name.
Yep. Number 5 is Where Are You Christmas from Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas from 2000.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the only reason I knew this one. I believe it was sung by Cindy Lou Who was played by Taylor Momsen, who would go on to have her own singing career. And I want to say it was written by Mariah Carey, because I've heard her sing this, I think, on her Christmas special. So that's our official answer.
So we also went with the Mariah Carey route, thinking maybe it was off a Christmas album that the big hit came from. So we said it was actually sung by Mariah Carey, and we went written by Madonna. So
the commercial version of the song was sung by Faith Hill, but I'll give Neal points for the deep knowledge there. The writer actually is Mariah Carey. She wrote the song. She's never performed it. She did have a hand in writing it. So I'll give 5 points for waffles and pancakes there, and I'll give 3 for Kale for having Mariah Carey's association with that song. Moving on to number 6, Till the World Ends, 2011.
Yeah, this one we had no idea. We kind of blanked out on this one as well. We said that this was, written by REM, because it's the end of the world, or maybe that's REO Speedwagon. I can never remember. And we said it was performed by Lil Jon.
Okay.
We thought that this might have been sung by Britney Spears, so we put her as the singer. And then we put Gwen Stefani as the writer, just because we like her a lot.
Tell Me By Your Name gets 2 points for getting Britney Spears as the singer. The writer is Kesha.
Oh, that's right.
Who also appeared on a remix of the song.
It kind of sounds like a Kesha song now that I think about it.
Number 7 is Miss Independent from 2003.
Kelly Clarkson. And we couldn't figure out the writer.
Yeah, we also 100% sure this one's Kelly Clarkson. We thought maybe this one was written by Madonna.
So 2 points for both teams here. Kelly Clarkson is the singer. The co-writer is Christina Aguilera.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh boy, that's gonna be bad for our number 9.
If you had just kind of switched it on your number 9 guess. Yep. Number 8 is I Do Not Hook Up from 2009.
We weren't sure on this. I knew Nelly Furtado had sort of a resurgence more in, I guess, a different type of pop in that era when she was working with Timbaland and stuff. So we said it was Nelly Furtado. As far as the writer, though, we didn't know. So that was our only guess.
We had a whole string of Kelly Clarksons over here. We said Kelly Clarkson sung this one. And then for the writer, we put Beyonce.
Kelly Clarkson is again the singer. So 2 points for you guys. The writer is Katy Perry.
Oh.
So that's 2 points for Kale and no points for Waffles.
Correct. Yep. And moving on to number 9, Breakaway from 2004.
Yeah, keeping the stream running, I guess. Kelly Clarkson was our guest for this, and no writer.
It just existed at one point. No one wrote it.
Popped into existence with the Big Bang.
We said we also said Kelly Clarkson, and this is the one we thought Christina Aguilera wrote.
Said you guys were so close on that one. Kelly Clarkson is the singer. The co-writer on that one is Avril Lavigne.
Oh, so much for our happy
ending.
ending.
Time. That's right.
The world's only spontaneously generated song.
Why is it so complicated?
Yeah.
Now, is this written by the real Avril Lavigne or the doppelganger?
Unconfirmed. Maybe that's why it appeared out of nowhere, because...
Man, you guys just keep answering Kelly Clarkson again and again and again and again.
That was good. That was good.
Number 10, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman from 1967.
Yeah, this was a nice team effort between me and Jeff. I couldn't for the life of me think of the theme song writer of Gilmore Girls, who's written just many hits over the course of history. And you said, Jeff,
that would be Carole King.
Carole King, and then we kind of discussed who would have sung it, and we landed on Aretha Franklin. That was our guess.
Yeah, we had the same combination. I know this from watching way too many of the Kennedy Center Honors videos on YouTube, and Aretha Franklin sang the song for the writer of it, Carole King, at her honors ceremony.
Both teams nailed it to close out the swing round. Aretha Franklin, the original singer, Carole King, the writer.
Looks like Kale Me By Your Name picked up 28 points in that swing round, and Waffles and Pancakes picked up 24, bringing the total scores to 60 for Kale and 66 for WAP.
Moving into round 2, question 11. Building off that last category, Mariah Carey, Sheryl Crow, and Lauryn Hill are among the very few women in the history of the Grammy Awards to be nominated in this category. Since its creation in 1975, this award has only been won by men. The most recent winner is Andrew Watt in 2021.
Okay, so you guys are locked in. So we're thinking about what would only men be winning from 1975 to now. It seems like there's more men in the production side, right? Does that make sense?
Yep, that's what we thought.
Yeah, so I think I was thinking that Lauryn Hill potentially produced her album that won all those Grammys, so maybe she was nominated for Producer of the Year. So we locked in with Producer of the Year, I guess.
We had a very similar discussion. We didn't think it was Best New Artist or anything like that, and we also thought Lauryn Hill probably had some producing, and we just said producing. That was what the award was for.
Both teams figured this one out. The correct answer is Producer of the Year. Mariah Carey, Sheryl Crow, Lauryn Hill, I think Paula Cole, kind of that late 90s singer-songwriter movement. There were a couple nominations there for women, but for the most part, this award has been dominated by men. Producer of the Year is correct. Moving on to question 12, musical math. I want you to figure out the following math problem. The number of miles the Proclaimers would walk to fall down at your door, times the miles Vanessa Carlton would walk if she could just see you, times the monetary amount the Bare Naked Ladies would buy your love if they had it, divided by the minimum monetary amount Travie McCoy would need to fulfill the goal he, with Bruno Mars, wants so effing bad.
We will lock in.
So you guys are locked in. Okay, so let's break this down. How many miles was it to walk to the door?
Yeah,
you said 1,000, right?
Right, because it's 500 plus 500.
And then, yeah, so that's 1,000. And then how many? Vanessa Carlton singing about?
She'd walk 1,000 miles just to see you.
And the Bare Naked Ladies.
Really original.
If they had $100, so now we're at 100 million. And the Bruno Travie McCoy song, I believe, is If I Was a Billionaire. So we're dividing by 1 billion. So does that get us 1/10?
Mm-hmm. 1/10.
So we think, yeah. Yeah, we're locking in with a fraction. We don't care. Whatever. We're locked
Man,
in.
the Bare Naked Ladies are killing you today, Matt.
Yeah.
Your lack of BNL knowledge
if I had $1 million.
Annihilating you.
Yeah. Ken and I may have done this song at a karaoke as a duet. I guess would be the correct.
We did duet.
Yes. So it's if I had a million, so we figure 1,000 times 1,000 is a million, times a million is a trillion, divided by a billion, 1,000. So that's our answer. 1,000.
Waffles and Pancakes gets points. It is 1,000, and they correctly sussed it all out. We have 1,000 miles for the Proclaimers, 1,000 miles for Vanessa Carlton, $1 million to Buy Your Love, and Travis McCoy and Bruno Mars Want to Be Billionaires.
But don't forget, they'd also buy Kraft dinner. So
who would have guessed in that question? It wouldn't have been the math. It would have been the Bare Naked Ladies fan knowledge that would have gotten us.
Always.
4 Junos, people.
And as we said over here, the Proclaimers actually walked 1,000.
1,000 miles.
Moving on to question 13, fill in the blank. I'm going to read you the first sentence from an Associated Press story that was published on March 7th, 1998. Without fanfare or even a routine announcement, President Clinton signed a bill today giving blank official designation as one of the Great Lakes, at least as far as federal research money goes. It seemed a senator at the time slipped an amendment into a bill to get this lake research money, and in the process, it created a stir about naming it a 6th Great Lake, at least temporarily.
Okay, Neal and I are going to lock in with a guess, even though I think we're totally wrong. So we'll see.
So we were thinking, Cameron, what was the lake you were thinking?
We were thinking maybe it's Lake of the Ozarks, because that's in Missouri, and Bill Clinton being from Arkansas, which has the Ozark Mountains in it a little bit, maybe wanting to throw his buddy a bone.
Yeah, so we're locking in with that, Lake of the Ozarks.
Okay. For some reason, I think it's a much smaller lake that's like between Vermont and New Hampshire, but I can't remember the name of that lake. So we guessed what I think is the 6th largest lake the U.S. touches, which would be Okeechobee.
You guys were very close. It is that lake between Vermont and New Hampshire called Lake Champlain.
Damn it.
Senator from Vermont, Patrick Leahy, was the one who snuck that amendment into the bill.
It's weird to think that I remembered that story from when I was a kid, but couldn't remember the lake.
Moving on to question 14. Another cow question? Question mark? An article in the New York Times recently discussed perplexing and fascinating results of an experiment out of the Fermi Lab in Illinois involving these particles. They are sometimes called fat electrons, in part because they have a negative charge and carry much more mass. The experiments noticed that these particles are potentially disobeying laws of physics because they wobbled like spinning tops when subjected to an intense magnetic field in a manner inexplicable with current calculations. What are these particles known as?
Okay, we are going to lock in quickly over here.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So I remember the story. It is because they think it might actually be a new force that they're not sure of, or it's something that gravity and force and the other things don't necessarily explain. I think he said it's another cow question. And I remember hearing muon as potentially a type of particle. And I think this might be that. Do you agree?
I like the reasoning there. Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so we're going to lock in with muon.
And we have locked in with muon.
Both teams got it. The category was a bit of a hint, and muon is the correct answer. It popped up in my Twitter feed with people, saying this is fine all across Twitter, that there might be particles that are disobeying the laws of physics. So, fun week.
Yep. And I believe a muon is actually the 152nd Pokemon.
151.
Yes.
Muon 2 is 149.
Okay.
Or 150.
We are on to question 15. This is called Neal's Layup Oscar Question. What do the following people have in common when it comes to the Academy Awards? Billy Wilder, Charles Brackett, Patty Chayefsky, Francis Ford Coppola, Horton Foote, William Goldman, Robert Benton, Bo Goldman, and the Coen brothers.
We are locked in over here.
Okay. So initially we thought maybe these were their debuts being nominated for Best Director. But we didn't seem like we would know all these names. So we were locking in with, they had multiple movies nominated in the same year for Best Direction, is what we said.
We at first thought it was just not too complicated. We said they all won for writing. I knew all these guys won for screenplay. Coen Brothers, No Country for Old Men, Godfather, but Coppola also won for Patton. But then we just thought if we need to be more specific, those are all based on books. So we said adapted screenplay.
Neal was circling it. All these people have won Oscars for writing both original and adapted screenplays. They've won multiple Oscars in both of those categories. Bit of a stumper there.
Okay, after 5 questions, looks like Call Me By Your Name picked up another 20 points, bringing them to 80. Picking up another 30 points is WAP, and they are at 96.
Moving on to question 16, Masters of the Craft. As we tape this, the Masters is going on. In terms of strokes under par, what is the record, the Masters record for lowest score under par over 4 rounds, which was actually set in November 2020 when Dustin Johnson finished with this score? I will give you a range of 2 strokes either way.
We will lock in over here.
2, you said?
2 either way, yeah. 2 either way.
Okay. So I know Tiger had the record, and I think it was like 18 or 19 under. So Dustin Johnson had to have beaten that. Are you okay with 20 under?
Yeah. I have no knowledge here, but that sounds fine.
Not a big golf fan.
No.
No. Me either. Unless Tiger's in it, and he hasn't been lately. So we're going to go with 20 under par.
Yeah, just trying to figure this out. I thought 20 sounded right, but just to hedge our bets a little bit, we went 18. So
both teams are getting points on this. The correct answer is 20 under par.
Nice job, Matt.
20 under par. Tiger Woods did have 18 under, and I think a few other guys joined him at 18 under over the years until Dustin Johnson in 2020. Question 17 is more numbers. What is the maximum number of years a president can currently serve?
We are locked in.
I think it depends on how you're rounding up or not. I think it's 10. I think if you take over from a sitting vice president with 2 years left, you can be nominated for a second term after finishing out the first 2, your term, and then another term.
So we just did this unit in con law, so I'm going to be pretty mad if I get this wrong. But I thought that if you are the vice president and then you succeed to the president's term, you can only then be elected for 1 full term of your own. So they're limited, I think, to 6.
But it doesn't matter how long they have left on the original one. Like if it was 3 years in, you wouldn't be able to run for a second term.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so maybe it is like if there's less than half of the term left or something.
Yeah,
like
so I was thinking it's either 9 or 10, and I can't remember. Which one do you want to go with?
Let's go with 10, yeah. And whatever it is, I'll make sure to get this right on the exam after this discussion of it.
Sure. So we're locked in with 10.
Yep, we're pretty sure that the rule states that if you have served less than half of the previous, you are allowed to run for 2 full terms. So we said 10.
Both teams get it correct. 10 years is the correct answer.
All right.
It's 10 points for both teams. I think because there was some discussion when LBJ took over for JFK after he won election on his own, whether he was going to run again, and he would have served, I think, maybe like 9 to 10 years if he had decided to run again. But with Vietnam happening, he decided not to run again. That was the only kind of scenario where that came into play.
Yeah, I don't know if that was him or the party, but he was definitely not getting reelected.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, question number 18 is applied rankings. According to Forbes, what were the 5 most downloaded apps worldwide of 2020? 2 points for getting each of these correct.
Okay, so we're thinking, pandemic era. We're looking at probably communication apps and food apps. So which ones were you thinking strongly about?
So we were thinking Zoom for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Matt mentioned probably Skype as well. And then for food, we pegged Uber Eats and DoorDash. And then Matt, what's the 5th one that we were thinking of?
Yeah, I think a little bit of, I think some entertainment there. So we're going with Netflix too.
Those are great guesses. We didn't even think about food. That was a great way to go
Which is
down.
weird because I'm always thinking about food.
Right. Yeah, so we said Zoom, TikTok,
TikTok.
Slack, because maybe, for work from home, Spotify, and then Jeff, what was the one with stocks?
Robinhood.
I thought Robinhood too. I think that was later.
Both teams will get some points here. The correct 5 answers are TikTok, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and Zoom.
Wow.
So
4.
Some of them, you guys got 4. Hail Me By Your Name gets 2.
Wow.
Moving on to question 19. Category is memory check. Put these video game systems in order by when they had a North American release date. PlayStation 2, Sega Dreamcast, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Atari Jaguar, and Nintendo GameCube.
We are locked in over here.
Yeah, just go with your gut.
Yeah, so this is all kind of my memory. It's kind of like these are in blocks. Like I think Sega, Super Nintendo, Jaguar is all around the same time, and then Dreamcast, GameCube, and PS2 were around a little bit later. So, but we're gonna lock in with I think the Genesis was first, and then Super Nintendo came out, and then the Atari Jaguar, and then we're going Dreamcast, GameCube, then PS2.
Okay, we had a similar discussion. I didn't even think about Genesis being first, but we locked in with Super Nintendo 1, Jaguar 2, Genesis 3, PS2 4, Dreamcast 5, GameCube 6.
Okay, the correct order is Sega Genesis 1, Super Nintendo 2, Jaguar 3, Dreamcast 4, PlayStation 2, 5, and then GameCube 6. Matt, you were so close.
Yeah, I was thinking, I told Neal I thought maybe Dreamcast was out before PS2, but still wouldn't have got it.
Going on to the last question of the second round. This famous author, who passed away in March at 104, was famous for setting most of her young adult novels in her neighborhood in Northeast Portland, Oregon.
I think we can lock in.
Okay.
I think I know this one as well, actually, Matt.
That's good because I don't.
I think this is Judy Blume. I feel like I just saw a headline about her passing away, and I read those books growing up.
Okay.
I saw a Twitter exchange. I want to say it was an author who I think is continuing her series. I could be wrong, and she's writing in the similar style, or at least got hired to do that. And we locked in with Judy Blume as well.
The correct answer is Beverly Cleary.
Oh, I wrote down both, but they went the wrong way. Okay.
My apologies to Judy Blume if she's still alive and out there.
Born February 12th, 1938, and still living, Judy Blume.
I was going to say, this podcast just killed off Judy Blume. Way to go.
Oh, no.
I'd like to offer a public apology to Judy Blume.
After regulation, Hail Me By Your Name is in second place with a respectable 102. Waffles and Pancakes, 120. Looks like they're slathering that extra syrup right on there.
Here we go with the categories for the bonus round. Fairly straightforward here. Sports ball and pucks, box office receipts, Billboard charts, history of games, and eclectic Grammys company.
The wagers are now locked in, so let's have the questions.
In sports ball and pucks, how many cities or markets in America have at least one team in each of the 4 major sports? And I will give you a hint. San Jose is considered the Bay Area. Box office receipts. In 2020, because of the pandemic, the highest grossing movie in the U.S. at the box office was Bad Boys for Life, which took in just over $200 million. It was the lowest total for the highest grossing movie of the year since 1995, when this movie took in just north of $184 million. Per Box Office Mojo. Billboard charts. In 2000-2001, the number 1 songs for the year on the Hot 100 were songs that did not hit number 1 at any point during their chart run. Both peaked at number 2, but had accrued enough chart points over their runs to rank number 1 for their respective years. One was a ballad by a female country singer who crossed over to the pop charts with a song title that describes a bodily function. The other is a melodramatic pop rock song from an all-male group from California. This group had 2 top 5 hits on the Hot 100. The other song called You and Me and peaked at number 5 in 2005. Name both songs and artists. In history of games, this year marks the 50th anniversary of this classic game that 3 student teachers in Minneapolis devised for one of their 8th grade classes at Bryant Junior High. Fun fact, Prince was in 8th grade at the school at the time. Maybe he waited in line to play this game at the computer on the school's library. Eclectic Grammys Company. In the various iterations of the Grammy for Best Spoken Word Album, 3 people have won the award 3 times. One is a former U.S. president. One is a legendary titan of filmmaking who won his awards in 1977, 79, and 82. And the third is a trailblazing writer who won her awards in 1994, 96, and 2003. Who are they?
All right, looks like both teams have a challenge ahead of them, so we'll have them deliberate, and we'll be right back. And we are back for our final answers. Call Me By Your Name wagered 20 points all the way down, and WAP wagered 15 points all the way down, so we'll see how it pans out.
All right, question 1 was sports ball and pucks. How many cities or markets in America have at least one team in each of the 4 major sports?
Yeah, well, we totally misheard this one. We were thinking the other way around. How many cities have at least one team in one of the 4 major sports? So we said 39.
Yeah, I started going through the list, just going through NBA teams, and then I just couldn't do it anymore. And it said 24.
The correct answer is 13. Cities that have a representative in each of the sports. There's kind of the Bay Area, San Francisco, Oakland market, Phoenix, Denver, LA, New York, Chicago, DC, Miami, Dallas, Philly, Boston, Minneapolis, and Detroit. Moving on to box office receipts. In 2020, because of the pandemic, the highest grossing movie in the US was Bad Boys for Life, which took in just over $200 million. It was the lowest total for the highest grossing movie of the year since 1995, when this movie took in just north of $184 million per Box Office Mojo.
Yeah, so we were having kind of trouble deciding. We knew that I think 95 is when Braveheart came out and won the Oscar for Best Picture the following year, but we didn't think it would have made that much money. And then we were kind of down between Batman Forever, I think it would have been, with Val Kilmer, and then Toy Story. And we thought, Toy Story was sort of the first in the age of the animated movie, so maybe it didn't make a ton of money. So we leaned on Batman Forever as our answer.
As a person that owned all those glass cups from McDonald's, I was really hoping it was Batman Forever. So we said Batman Forever.
Both teams wrote in on it. The correct answer is Batman Forever. Both teams get their wagers on that one. Moving on to the Billboard charts. In 2000-2001, the number 1 songs for the year on the Hot 100 were songs that did not hit number 1 at any point during their chart run. Both peaked at number 2. One was a ballad by a female country singer who crossed over to the pop charts with a song that describes a bodily function. The other is a melodramatic pop rock song from an all-male group from California. This group had 2 top 5 hits on the Hot 100, the other being called You and Me, and peaked at number 5 in 2005. Name both songs and artists.
We couldn't come up with the songs, but we knew, I think, perhaps the most successful country artist / pop artist. We went Shania Twain. And for the all-male group, we just were trying to think who was popular then, and we went with Creed.
Wow. I think it's a song that you guys really enjoy. I'm pretty sure it's Lifehouse, Hanging by a Moment. And then the female singer, I believe, is Faith Hill with the bodily function of breathing. So the song is Breathe.
Matt and Cameron get their wager. It is Faith Hill with Breathe and Lifehouse, Hanging by a Moment. Moving on to history of games. This year marks the 50th anniversary of this classic game that 3 student teachers in Minneapolis devised for one of their 8th grade classes at Bryant Junior High. Fun fact, Prince was in 8th grade at the school at the time. Maybe he waited in line to play the game at the computer in the school's library.
Well, we figured if it's an early computer game and it has to do with things in line, maybe lining up, we said Tetris.
Not Russian at all.
Cameron, what did we say?
We hooked on to pretty much the same line of thinking about early computer games waiting in line, but the most line-like game we could think of was Snake. So that's what we locked in with.
I fear I might have thrown you off with the line. The computer was more of the clue in this question. What's a computer game that a lot of middle school kids play that we
Oregon Trail
at some point? Oregon Trail.
Oh man,
we said that too. We were talking about it.
I heard it said.
And isn't the MEC like Minnesota Computing Company or whatever it is? I think it is.
Yeah,
NEC,
that's who widely distributed throughout the state.
Yeah,
first.
that makes sense.
Yep.
Ooh, I should have known that.
All right. Well, it looks like it will come down to this last question to determine the
Very
winner.
exciting. Eclectic Grammys Company. In the various iterations of the Grammy for Best Spoken Word Album, 3 people have won the award 3 times. One is a former U.S. president. One is a legendary titan of filmmaking who won his 3 awards in 77, 79, and 82. The third is a trailblazing writer who won her awards in 94, 96, and 2003. Who are they?
We had a long discussion about this one. We know, I believe Obama won at least twice for 2 of his books. So we locked in with Obama for the president. We were between Maya Angelou and Toni Morrison for the writer. I think we settled on Maya Angelou. And then for the titan of filmmaking, late 70s, we knew it wasn't George Lucas who would do something like this, wasn't Coppola, wasn't Stanley Kubrick for sure, or some other directors. And we just thought, who has a very famous voice and does voiceover work? And we locked in with Orson Welles for the filmmaker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Orson Welles is a good one. I would listen to his audiobooks or whatever. We thought it might be Maya Angelou. That's what we locked in for the writer. For the president, I didn't think that Obama had 3 out, but he probably does by now. But we said Jimmy Carter. And then for the film director, couldn't think of anybody, so it went with Coppola.
Correct answers are Maya Angelou, Orson Welles, and Jimmy Carter.
Oh man.
You guys were so close on that one.
All right, it was a nail biter. Waffles and Pancakes lost just a little bit more on their wagers and ended up at 75 points. And your winner today, Kale Me By Your Name, you are the kale of the crop.
I am the cream. Yeah.
Great game, guys.
Wow.
82 points for you guys today.
It's a defensive struggle out here.
It was. Last time I came on here, I think some scoring records might have been set, so I tried to amp up the difficulty a little bit. Maybe I did a little too much.
That's all right. You tip the scale one way, and now that means so the 3rd episode, when you come back another time,
Goldilocks.
Right in the sweet spot.
That's right. Well, let's start with you, Chris. Thank you for putting this game together for us. Where can people find you if they want to read some of your work, and any other shout outs you'd like to give out? Feel free.
Yeah, so startribune.com if you're in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area or Minnesota, or just curious about Minnesota sports in general. Read our coverage, and just in general, if you can subscribe to your local newspaper. This is a tough time always for local journalism trying to survive in these times. So, if you can throw a few bucks towards your local paper, there are people that are working really hard to try and bring you news that might not otherwise be reported. If not for local news outlets. So shout out to local news.
Great shout out there. Anytime you can support local news is always welcome. Cameron, thank you very much for coming on today. You were victorious. Any final words, shout outs, or anything you'd like to plug?
Well, Chris, I thought it was a perfectly written game. So thank you very much for that.
Yes.
I just want to shout out if anyone has a creator that's been keeping them sane the last year, make sure to support them on Patreon. So if you're not supporting Triviality already, definitely do that. And then anyone else who's been making you smile or laugh or anything else like that. Thank you guys.
Well, thanks so much. Now we don't need to do our drop.
Yeah, that was organic. It was great. Thank you for that. And on that note, I do want to say, if you haven't had a chance to check out the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, if you're a fan of sports, one of their creators and hosts and all around great guys, Matt Doherty, he's been behind the scenes today helping us try out Zoom. So thank you to Matt and the whole Benchwarmers crew over there. If you'd like to listen to their podcast, you should. And we even have a Australian football watch party / group if you'd like to join, learn a little bit more. But thank you, Matt.
Go Swans. Honk, honk, honk.
Ken is a Swans fan. Thank you, Matt, for that, and everyone else over at Benchwarmers. So thank you very much, everyone. If you'd like to join us on Patreon, as Cameron mentioned, you can go to patreon.com/Triviality Podcast. Find us at Triviality Pod on all social media. For Ken, Jeff, Matt, Cameron, Chris, Matt Doherty, and myself, Neal, that was Triviality.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's actually not that hard. It's just like doing Sean Connery, but then you make it like a female in the South. So you're like, give me that baby. You guys just can't stay. I appreciate that you're friends with High and all, but this is a decent family here. That's all it is.
That was really good. That was great.
Nailed it.
Thanks.